Hey, what's hot TikTok happening? Right, I'm on I'm on TikTok doing this because this is the only way I know how to record it and then save it and then put it on YouTube and stuff like that. So a lot of people have asked me today. I hate doing this because it's like scripted and it's like try everything into it. It's not working. So what I'm going to try and do is do like a slight podcast thing, and I've got my wee microphone here. Testing. Can you hear me? Um, and see how this goes. I hate talking stuff, and there's 7 people in already. And I thought I'll do it early in the morning, that way nobody's in it. Thank you very much. And then that way I don't have to do it. Now I've got people in, and I'm like, no. Right. Anyway, so this is the first of hopefully many of podcast. I'll say podcast type things, right? So what a lot of people have asked me to do is to do something like a podcast. What made me get into the buses? My experiences in the buses, experience in different companies I've had, and experience with the general public. And would I recommend it to anybody else? I've been floating with the idea for a couple of weeks now, and I have approached other drivers to see if they would do it. Drivers that have been in it longer than me, lassie drivers, young drivers, older drivers, they're all like that. Can everybody hear me? Aye. I'm testing my new mic out, so I'm trying to see if everybody hears me. Yeah, that's good. Right, okay. Nah, mate. Shut up. Anyway, I need to stop this. This is going on to YouTube. Shh. My fat chin. Anyway, here's a song. No, can you hear your song? Anyway, no, stop. Right, so everybody keeps asking what made me get into the buses. And it's a good point, actually, it is. What did make me get into the buses? It's a stupid, silly story. When I was younger, right, for anybody that knows me, knows that my older brother's in a wheelchair. And when I was, I must have been what, 8, 9. Had his wheelchairs back then were like the shut up. His wheelchairs back there were the ones that you could the big massive tyre at the back with the pole in it. And because he had a soft cushion, it kept the wheelchair up. So when I was younger, I always used to turn his wheelchair onto the side so I could have like the one wheel up, and I used to pretend it was like it's like a steering wheel, and I'd get a calculator, and that would be my ticket machine, and I'd have it at the side of me, and then I'd always do that. For years, I'd done that. I think bus driving is something I've always wanted to do since I was that age. I was always, I would say, I was fascinated with it. I'm not what you call the dead. What do you call it? The dead. What's the word? Bus spotters, enthusiasts, the ones that really get right into the buses, and they they know what license plate goes to what bus and what bus goes where, and has to know everything about the buses. Generally, no. I was always one of the type of persons I was like, I want to drive them. That's what I want to do. They're cool. That's what I want to drive. So to start halfway, if anybody remembers, probably the older ones will remember. I think I just turned 18. No, I think I was 19. I turned 19, and first we're doing a promotion. No, 18, 19. Aye, 19. And first we're doing a promotion where they they'd put you through your car test and then put you through your bus test. And I was like, oh, because I was going to go do. I was in the process of going and doing my car test, and I thought, oh, that'd be easy because that's what I want to do. It's the buses I want to do. Um, and it's one of the old orange Strathclyde buses. It was one of them. I was always wanting to drive one of them. I was like, that's what I want. I want to drive one of them, and now they don't do them anymore. Anyway, I'm trying to keep this short and sweet. Anyway, so I applied for that, and get knocked back saying there's too many people going through it. I mean, they're going to put you through your car test and your bus test. That's going to happen. And then I waited a couple of years until, when did I get my license now? 10 years ago. We'll go into that in a minute. But 10 years ago, and then I went, do you know what? I'm going to try it again because we're looking for trainee drivers. And I applied for it again, and I got a response back this time. Like, hey! So I'm trying to remember that far back. It's really hard to remember, actually. See, especially doing it yourself. You're like, it's not going to plan. Right, so I applied, and then they sent it back for an interview. So I went for an interview. And at the time, it was at Larkfield. And it was the Parkhead depot manager at the time. And because I was there in the East End, obviously Parkhead is where I wanted to go to, because it was easier for me to get to than what it would be to get to Larkfield. And then the fact that the East End one, I'd known most of the routes, theoretically. Anyway, so I got the interview, they were happy, and they says, right, well, if you go through the process at that point in time was you'd come into the training school, you would try and do your mock theory tests. They would all set it up because they had a wee classroom, and you would go up anytime you're free, because at this point in time you never get paid for it. It was all done voluntarily. So you went in a room, who, in fact, I think I can mention her. Linda, absolutely amazing when she worked for the company. I don't want to mention companies because then that way I don't get into trouble if I say it and later on, I know, because through this you're going to hear stories that are not ordinarily wouldn't tell. So if I don't say companies on this, they're not going to know what company is what and when it happened. So that's the idea of this. Anyway, so we went into a room and then you do your mock tests. You'd learn your mock tests. She'd give you the app for you to do it as well. And then as soon as you felt that you were ready, she'd put you through your actual test. And you've done all that through first. You've done your theory and your hazard perception all at the first depot. At this time, it was at Larkfield. And Linda, I'm going to say, was a real big help. She put you at ease. She made sure that she felt and you felt that you were ready to go for it. And for me, as well, for going to it as well, it was mainly that she took the anxiety bit away from it, beginning and doing it. Because like anybody, when you go to do any sort of test, especially for something that you want to do, your brain is like 50 mile an hour. Well, for me it was anyway. And she just made you feel at ease, and she was like, you've got this, you'll do it, you'll smash it. And then I was like, oh, here we go. So anyway, I went in and I done it and I passed it first time. And I was like, yay. So after you've passed that, you then have to wait to get a place on the course, which was a 3-week course into doing your licence. Funnily enough, when we went through, I think it was only, originally my slot was for 4 months is all they could get me in. It was 4 months later, which was a bummer, trust me, because you're like, I want to get this done now, next week. And I don't even think it was 2 weeks. I think something about 2 weeks. She'd phoned me and went, somebody's dropped it and there's a space opened. I think it was for the next day. If you want it. And I was like, aye, let's batter into it. And then we went in the next day. And it was Larkfield, and it was the old. This is what I mean. I don't know buses, but it was the old ones. See the ones with the stairs in them. It was the older single decker ones, I have put photos up. I'll find a photo of it and it'll get it into it. Don't you worry. Don't you panic. I'll find it somewhere. What are they called now? I think it was the buses just before they went to the low floors. No, Gemini's are the double deckers. Um, ah, in fact, somebody will tell me, and I'll get it into it. Anyway, so it was one of them. I went on it. There was, oh, what's his name now? The trainer was absolutely amazing. I've got to say, I enjoyed him, but everybody that's had him or had him before didn't like him and didn't like his techniques or the way he done it, and I thought he was absolutely brilliant. But that's beyond the point. And then there was two other guys. There was Mark, and there was another older guy that only lasted one day, surprisingly enough. Because no, that's not fair. There was another guy there, but he didn't. He only lasted one day, and he didn't like the fact it was an automatic bus rather than he wanted it to be a manual rather than automatic. So he just dropped out and says, "No, it's not for me." So I was like, "Okay, whatever." Anyway, so me and Mark, what's his name now? I'm trying to think of the trainer's name. It'll come to me. There is only one trainer that quite a few people didn't like, but I thought he was amazing. When I speak about it, you'll know who it is for anybody that's listening in that knows. Anyway, so we got it on and we went out and we done the tests. We went round and round and round. I think there was a part of Govan Hill that I think I've seen more times than I've ever been round anywhere in my life. And the reason they done it was so you knew what way to take a corner. Because at that time, all he said to me is, remember, your wheels are behind you. You're always in front of your wheels in a bus. Aye, it's Mark with the motorbike, the Undertaker Mark. Anyway, and then we went round and see if we didn't go in the corner, right? Or if we hit the curb or anything like that, it would take us round again. And then we'd literally, I think there was one day we spent literally 2 hours, 3 hours. Wait a minute, turn that off. He was a good guy. He was. Gone round this one bit of Govan Hill, and it was when you turn left, you go up again, turn left, turn left, turn left. So it was like literally a circle you were doing. And see if you didn't go in right, now you had to be properly positioned for him. And you'd have to make sure that your nose was out and then you'd turn. And then, by God, this will give away who the instructor is, right? See if you weren't paying attention to your backswing, he would make sure that you knew that you weren't paying attention to your backswing. Because he would hit the window and it was as if you hit something and then you'd shit yourself. You would just shit yourself. You'd be like, what's that? And he's like, you weren't paying attention, were you? And I'm like, aye. And he was like, no, you weren't. He says, or you would know that you just hit wee Jack on the bike behind you. That's what you talk about. Aye, that's him. Aye. So we done that. I think that's how I get so good at turning corners because we spent about a good portion of the training turning corners. And then, what was even better, if anybody's been at Pollock, there's a part of Pollock where there's the wee incline that goes like that and you have to drive round them. Right, we'll try and drive round them with a full single decker and no hit the curb with a decker. And I was like, fucking hell, can I do this? So after we done the corners, he was happy with us going forward. You don't really reverse a bus to be fair, but we done our reversing because obviously to pass your test, even before you even got out, of the yard, you had to reverse park and make sure the bus is parked properly in the wee bays. I don't know if they do it now because I don't know what the thing is now, but in Larkfield there was a bit set up. Whereas as soon as you get the bus was always there. And it was always parked up. And these older buses didn't really have power steering, by the way. See, like the buses now, you just like flick inch and the whole bus goes right round. This, you were really putting the effort in. I'm telling you, the effort into turning this. So we went out, and the hardest part to do it, and I kid you not, was for me was roundabouts. I hate roundabouts. I hate them. 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 I hate them with a passion. And anybody that's done the buses, I don't know so much about now because of the fact that the buses seem to be a bit more newer and faster. But back then, or even recently, right up until they brought the new deckers in, the buses, especially the 3.2 Geminis, which is the older Geminis, they would take a lifetime just to get going. So you would start going and you think, I've got enough space. He's right round there. I'll start going, and then you start going. It's slow. It's like I could go out and run faster. And then you're praying to God that they slow down, don't crash into the side of you. Anyway, so that was the roundabout just at Silverburn that I had today. And if anybody's been that during rush hour, you know how solid it is to get out that roundabout. Let alone try to do that in a training bus when you've just started and you're shitting yourself when you're getting somebody marking your every move. Anyway, so that was that, and we went round. So as you go, in fact, as you're coming out to Pollock roundabout, right? See if you drive straight on, and then you get to the next roundabout, and then you've got the first turn and then the second turn. See if you go to the second turn and go straight on, you'll see the wee chicane bits that you need to go in. That's what we had to go down in a bus. And what he used to do, Neil, that's his name. I knew it would come back to me. And what he used to do, you'd get a bottle of juice and you'd sit it on the dash. And then you'd go, there's Martha. Martha's on the front waiting to get off. Now, the bus stop's further up there. You need to get this bus up there without hitting any of the curbs with the tyres. And for Martha not to fall here. That was a challenge, I tell you. It took us a good few attempts to get that one right. Anyway, so as soon as that was done, I think I went to sit my test. The day before I sat my test, we were all ready to go because you get 3 weeks. You get 3 weeks on it. I think it was a week and a half earlies, week and a half lates. No, a week of earlies, week of lates, and then the last week you went through everything that you felt that you needed to brush up on. And then he would show you the route you'd possibly take during your test, so you were ready for it, which was always a good bit for me, trust me. So we done that. What else did we do? Aye, and then I went up the stairs. I think it was literally the day before I take my test. I went up the stairs because we'd finished, and the office popped me in and went, "Look, I know you're asking to go to Parkhead, but Parkhead's full. So the only depot that you can go to the new is, I think it was Blantyre at the time." And I was like, "See, to be fair," I says, "I don't have a car." I says, "And I can't get to Blantyre." And they're like, "No, well, that's the only depot we've got for you." And I'm like, "Well, I sit my test tomorrow. What are we going to do here?" I says, "Because obviously I can't get to Blantyre. Can't do it." I says, "I'd get told there would be Parkhead I'm going to, so I would expect to be Parkhead." Like, no, Parkhead's full now. So is Larkfield is full. The only places we're looking for is Blantyre and Overton. And I was like, I can't get there. I don't have a car because this is the time before I had the car. Can't get there. Don't have a car. Right, leave it with me. We'll see what we can do. So I'd went down and I'd said to my trainer at the time, and I says, "Look, they're going to pull me off this, and then give me another slot to come back to do my test." And he was raising. He was like, "No, because then you need to go with another trainer and do it all again. He gets the credit for you passing, and no me." And I was like, "Well, what more can I do? They're saying that Parkhead and Larkfield's full, and he was like, don't worry, you're going for your test, and we'll come to that bridge after you've passed your test. Fair enough. So what I decided to do then was went and done my test, and I passed. I think I'd only 2 minors, and that was today with the show me tell me, because anybody knows me, I'm shite with all that stuff. I know basic, but when you're trying to remember everything, you're shiting yourself. That's. And I always remember the one thing that when I went for my driving test, like for my car, my instructor always said to me, before you go for your test, eat a banana. And I was like, what? Say that again? He's like, eat a banana. Why? I says, that's the most stupidest thing. Anybody that knows me knows I don't eat in the morning. It's the worst thing you can ever do. My test was in the morning for the car. I know it's a habit. I'll jump back and forth till I remember stuff. Believe it or not, I've got like things wrote down today and it's like not happening either. Shh. You tell me that after he said that, and I was like, I didn't know that. Apparently, it stimulates the brain and makes the brain work better or something. But it did work because I passed my driving and my theories, and I done it getting into the bus, doing the bus ones as well, and I passed all. Anyway, so I passed the test, and then I went up the stair, and I said to him, "I've passed, yeehaw." And he says, "Parkhead is full. They're not taking any more drivers on in Parkhead. We could maybe get you in Larkfield if you want to do that." And I was like, "Aye, we'll do that. The only thing is, it's a bus journey away." I says, "I can get the 38, top of the road, bang. It'll take me straight in and just walk here." The only thing is when you're really early in the mornings, because I think they had shifts that started at 3 in the morning. Or was it 4 in the morning when I first started? I said, so getting in, like it's like a staff bus that will pick you up that early before the services, and because you're on the main road, there you go. Anyway, so I was like, yeah, that's fine. So anyway, that started. We went in, we done all our classroom stuff, health and safety, all that jazz. So that was all done out the road. It came to my first day, doing it. Let's see, can I remember? Yep, they'd phoned me. In fact, they'd asked me before, because I wasn't due to start until the Monday. Is your internet okay? It's saying it's okay. Hey, honey. Stop it. You're distracting my podcast. I need to record this, you know. I've even got you making everything. No! Anyway, so I passed my test on the Friday and I was meant to start on the Monday with a buddy that would take you on the route that you're meant to do and all that jazz, right? So they'd phoned me on the Saturday and went, do you know the 75? And I was like, hey babes, it keeps lagging. It might be because somebody keeps going in a group chat and it's like, wait a minute, let's mute that group chat so it doesn't come up. Here we go. Right, that's a bit better. It's not every time I think a message comes up on it, it like freezes it because it keeps saying it. Anyway, so where was I? I was meant to go and they says it's 75. I says, I don't mind if somebody shows me one time and it's pretty much fair game. Now, it was one of the trainers, Chris. I don't think he's there anymore. No, he wasn't, because when I went back, he wasn't there. So when I went to do the 75, so I went in early, he was there, he talked me all through it, and I was like, I'm shitting myself here. And he was like, no, you'll be fine, you'll be fine. I'm there with you for the first run anyway, and if you're not happy with the run, I'll stay with you for the next run, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, no, soon as I learned it the first time, it should be fine because it's easy enough. And it was like, that's oh, thank you. And I was like, right, no, that's fine. I will get that done. So then we went round and we went to check. Now, as you went into the traffic office, you've obviously got the traffic guys in the old Larkfield. So you get the traffic guys, and then up behind them was the board with all the buses and all the bus numbers and what routes they were on. So you would get like the 75-1, 75-2, 75-3. So whatever one we were on, 75, whatever it was, you look and it was bus number, I think it was 38 something or another, right? Which meant it was the Enviro 500s, which is the triaxles. So when I had them, went out with that and I was like, I've barely drove a single decker. And if you've ever, when we went out route training, it was a double decker. And that was an experience and a half, I tell you. The amount of times you go to bridges and all that and go, am I going to go under this? Just subconsciously all the time. That gives me another one, but we'll not go there. So anyway, so we get on it. It was like, no, you'll be fine. Triaxles are pretty piss easy. So I don't know, must be my internet then. This is going to get uploaded onto my YouTube channel anyway, so hopefully it doesn't freeze while it's recording. Surprisingly enough. Anyway, so we done that, and then we went out, and I went into it, and by God, what an experience of driving one of them. So we got that. The full 2 days I was out because I done Saturday and Sunday for them, and then obviously the Monday I was out route learning with a buddy. So obviously I was out Saturday, the first run with somebody. I knew the 75 pretty well, and I says, no, I'm happy with that. I can do it for here. And I got let out and went, right, that's fair enough. Need me, phone me, blah. So we done that. And then I done that and I done it on the Sunday. And that was amazing. That's how I think I've always loved the 75 because that was my first route I ever done was the 75. So the Monday it was a 3 in the morning start, and I was on the 34. I had the buddy, and I was the first bus out the yard. Now, if anybody remembers Larkfield, remember how packed Larkfield was with buses in the morning. And I was the first bus out. Now, if you remember the shed where the fire happened, that's where my bus was. So you had to come out there, go through the tunnel, and then take a right. But it was that tight that you would just get through and no more. Well, that's what I thought. So as we were coming out, I was checking my tail swing so much that I didn't see that I was getting close to the other bus that was parked, and I crashed into it. Took two windies out and a side panel out that other bus. Now this was my first time out for the depot at that time in the morning, and I was absolutely shitting it. And I thought, fuck, I've just wrecked up two buses essentially. Two buses I've just wrecked. And I expected at that time just to get into the office and go, look, just get home, and we'll deal with you tomorrow or something. All that goes through. He'd be like, I've just wrecked two buses. That's hat I'm off. I'm getting through, and he's like, no, don't worry about it. So he goes into the office and says to them, he's just wrecked two buses. He smashed two windies and side panel, whatever with the other ones. And then, right, that's fine. Go and take X bus. So we get another bus, and it was the old toilet buses, flying machines, but heaps of loveliness. And I think we were only 20 doing it this time. So we had to fly for the depot at Larkfield all the way up to Castlemilk to start at Castlemilk to go to Govan, Castlemilk. And that was an experience and a half. So that's the only accident I've ever had, touch wood, where I would say I was at fault. And that was my first day out with somebody as I meant to. The 2 days I was out prior, it was like a bigger bus. It was a triaxle bus. It was longer. It was double decker, not a problem. But I picked that up for the street. But obviously the first time out. But trust me, I never done another one again. That's why I'm always dead cautious. It's so the time goes on, and then you do the route with the buddy. You only at that time, feel like I remember, you only get the buddy 2 days, 2 days, 3 days, 2 or 3 days. I'm sure it was 2 days you go on. 'Cause I think it's three now. I think it was 2 days you go up. You go up on the first day and the second day, and it's usually what they tend to do is they'll put you in a 34. So say for instance you get a 2 part shift. You'd do a 34, which would be you'd pick up in Battlefield up to Castlemilk, Govan, Castlemilk, Govan. Hey honey, and then you come off, you'd have your break, and then you'd say pick up a 75. Outside Larkfield, it would be, or the old depot now. In fact, it'd be the tap it where they used to pick up. And then you'd either go Mountain, Castlemilk, Mountain, finish, or vice versa. It would be Castlemilk, Mountain, Castlemilk, finish. Sometimes, if it was just that, depending on how the shifts worked, you'd either just go to Castlemilk and off again, and then you'd go and do another bus, which, for instance, could be a 75 to Auchinlearn back, and that's you finished. Some stuff, stupid stuff like that. It was good. Right, so what else is it? So that was that. So that was that experience all done. At my time with them, it's a different kettle of fish for any job I've done before. The general public, I shit you not. You can have your good ones, your absolutely belter ones, and you can have your run of the mill down, and you just get any abuse whatsoever. Um, I've been called a fat bastard more times than I can count. Um, especially, especially when you're late, or the bus in front's off, or you sit, especially in the mornings, especially now. We've got timing points. Bus people don't realise that that particular bus that you're on has a running board, right? So that running board, you have to go by the time. And when I first went into the buses, the motto was there's 101 excuses for running late. There's not an excuse on this planet for running early. And believe you me, people did get sacked for running early. Or they go to first in finals, depending how early. 1 to 2 minutes is a written warning. 2 to 3 minutes is a first and final. And 3 to 5 minutes or more is an instant dismissal. I don't know so much about now because as the years went on, times get better. And I think they've cut a lot of the running board times down so that you're practically chasing your fucking ass. But back then, see if you see a bus stopped at a bus stop and it seems like the driver's doing nothing, chances are that bus is early. In fact, there's no chances are that bus is early. And he can't buy that timing point until the time. Now, I think with certain companies, they've got the ticketer and it'll write up red at the bottom left-hand corner. That'll tell them that they're running early, and it's basically indicating they need to stop until that goes away because it'll go red and then it'll go amber if they're within a minute, and then it'll just disappear and then they can go. And you'd be surprised how, especially on the 38s, I would say the 38s and the 75s, that you could be going from Easterhouse to the Toon and you could be 10 minutes late, 10, 15 minutes late, and then get from the Toon to Eastwood Toll and you're 10 up because they give you that so much time in the morning to catch yourself up that you could be that, and then you're having to sit outside the ABC, or is it where the underground is, and then you're having to sit there for 5, 6 minutes to catch up because you can't hit your next timing point until. And obviously, I've explained before in my videos before where in town or round about the town, there's what they call is it RTC? No. What's it called now? It's been that long since I've done it, I can't even remember it. TRC, that's it. TRC, which means that we can't stop in TRC, aye. Which means that we can't stop inside the tune. We can stop, we have to be in the bus cage, we open the doors, we've got enough time for the passengers to get off and board, shut the doors, and then we have to go. We can't wait about. And but looks at quite a lot of people know about it already, so yay! So then you have to go. See the amount of times, and I kid you not, that you get called fat bastard, sick bastard. What happens if that was your ma? What happens if that was your granny? And I'm like, I would have to do the same. If that was my granny there, if that was my ma, if that was my son, daughter, wife, or anything, if they're not there by the time that gangway, which is the front bit of the bus, is clear, I have to shut that. Back then, they were enforced. I think since COVID, I'm not sure if it's enforced as much because the way things are. But back then, SPT and First were really on top of you for that. And I mean, really, they were strict. You would get booked and took in and you would get your fucking face chewed right off. Because then they would get point. I think it's like a points thing that they get, and so many, and then they got in front of the traffic commissioner. Because it was all today about the low fuel emissions. That's it. They're trying to get the city centre down to as low as possible. So in order to do that, they try to get the buses in and out. And then that was that. And they were really, really strict at it. Don't know so much now because most of the buses are low emissions now, but I think it's still in effect. Not heard of being enforced as much now. No, it's not. It's really. When I went back for that month, oops. To be fair, they did give you a handout on it, and it does state that you're not allowed to do it. It's just no, it's enforced by SPT and inspectors now. But it was then. I don't think it is now, but it is generally the norm because it's still. When I went back last year, I went back the year before. They were still quite. They gave you the leaflet out, and it was like a wee 5 minute. I think because most lived doing our class, it was there when I went back. It was already been there, and it was just still in effect. It's still the same. Oh, done. Boom. It's still in effect, but bus stops aren't as strict now. But that used to be designed, but most are rolling. Aye, it says it's no. It's no. I don't know if it's enforced now and again. For what I've seen watching for the bus station, it's not enforced as much as it used to be. But I think that's to do with the fact that the low emissions on the buses. Could be wrong. But I think since COVID, everything's kind of went up. They did. And then I get my ass booted for that. Now they don't want me back because of that. But that's another thing altogether. So, for the early experiences of the buses, for me, I always love buses. And somebody said to me the other day, and I kid you not, somebody said to me the other day, "You're nothing but a bus spotter." And I'm like, "No, I'm not a bus spotter." But then I'm thinking to myself, wait a minute. I wouldn't say I was a bus spotter. I would say I was passionate about the buses. Because a bus spotter sits and pretty much takes photos of buses and they know everything about a bus. I think it's like, I think the Geminis, they're called the B4 sums or something or another. And if you say to a bus spotter or a bus enthusiast um, about a certain bus or a fleet number of a bus for a certain company, they'd know exactly what bus it was and what the fucking engine in the fucking thing is. Whereas I'm not that kind of person. Um, I love the buses, and my passion is the buses. But I don't go and take photos of them and sit about. I take photos of the buses I drive. So if I've drove it, 9 times out of 10, I've got the photo of it. Or I've got a video in it that some of them I can't post because they're branded and I'm not allowed to. But shh. So in that sense, I would say I'd probably know a lot of the buses, and I tend to ask a lot of questions. Maybe it's a bad thing, I don't know. Bus station still 100% LL, leave there, LSPT will send you back, always watching. In the bus station, I know that for a fact, because in the bus station, that's my forte. That's my forte. Our buses for the company I work for just now are 2 the hour, quarter past the hour, and half past the hour, and then quarter to the hour, so they're every 15 minutes, depending on what service. The service I normally do is every 15 minutes. So you'll get customers coming up and going, that bus left 3 minutes early. Not didn't, because SPT will not let us commute until it's time to commute, unless there is sometimes that we're having to reverse the bus out if the bus beside has to load a wheelchair, for instance. Then we're having to go out and say to them, look, we're going to reverse so far back so the wheelchair can go on, and then they'll allow us to commute wheelchair on back in. But I think for the other stances as well, it's pretty much the same. They've all got the times that they have to leave it, and SPT will not reverse you out unless it's your time to leave, because they're quite strict, and rightfully so. They're strict about their times. But I'm talking about outside the bus station, where before you go in, I kind of observe that a few times to see if the TRC is still in force, and pretty much 95% of the drivers are all still adhering to it. And I don't mean adhering to it that way, but it would just mean you can tell when they're doing it and when they're not. But then that's a drop-off one anyway, so it doesn't really do anything. If you ask me. Anyway, so I've got 10 minutes now, and then we'll see how this is going if I do a part 2. So I've covered my first shift, went through how I went for my licence. And the thing for me as well, right? Are you talking about SPT or are you talking about outside enforce what? Because if you're talking about SPT, I can tell you now they enforce it every single time. There's not one bus that leaves there early. Because they will, see even if you put it in reverse and put the hazards on and go to thing out, they'll not let you out. They are strict. And you'll see them looking at their watch and going, and then as soon as it hits, like, say for instance, I'd leave at quarter past, as soon as it hits 15, then they'll reverse you out. They'll literally keep you there. And sometimes you're there until 2 minutes because they've reversed other ones out and then reverse you out. They are quite strict. And in my times I've been with the first company that I was with, down at the Four Corners, they're really strict down there. I don't know about now. As I say, I've not been down there in the past. I think I've been away from them for 2 years now, so I haven't been down there that long, so I couldn't tell you. Or at least a year and a half anyway. Everybody keeps asking me for different experiences on the buses or different punters on the buses. I think the best thing I done was come to the coaches. I'm not going to lie, the best thing I've ever done is do the coaches. The clientele, the customers, the punters, whatever you want to call them, are night and day for punters you get on service buses. Anybody that asks me, and believe you me, I had a lot of people asking about getting into the buses, and I'm like, I would strongly recommend going and doing the service buses first and see life as a service driver. And then after your 2 years or 3 years of doing that, then jump across to doing the coaches, and you'll see night and day. See if you just start off doing coaches, you're never going to experience what a service driver experiences first, because you get all sorts, and I mean all sorts of walk of life. I've been called fat bastards more times than I happen to count. I'm an ugly bastard. What else have I had? You wouldn't believe how many people's raided my mom, and I'm like, nice to know. The amount of times you get told, I hope you die, and I'm like, that's nice. Love you too. But in the up sense, you do get a lot of people that actually. Do you ever fancy doing class one driving? No. Lorry's only for me because it is a single man. I'm a people person, so I have to be about people. Do you not want to scrap with people when they say that? No. I laugh it off. Because, see, if you do get to the stage that you want to have an altercation with somebody, it's the day you leave. It is. Do I want to go to the gym? No, I don't want to go to the gym. I'm happy being this fat cunt, actually. Thanks very much. Um, oh, welcome to jump right anyway. What was I saying? See, the day you start wanting to scrap me, people, it's the day that you don't really want to do this job. There is a lot of people can't take it. I've been fat for most of in fact, my entire adult and most of my teenage years. You wouldn't believe I was actually skinny. And I actually found the photos there um, a while ago. And I was like, oh my God, that's not even me. You can't be it. If you're a people person, you would enjoy tour driving. Tour driving's probably maybe my next goal. Um, but right now, I enjoy what I'm doing now. I do. Um, the people you meet are unreal, and I mean other drivers. The amount of see for me, right? Everybody says, "How do you put up with the amount of abuse and everything else you get?" Now, believe you me, even yesterday, I had a fucking lovely punter on yesterday, screaming, pointing into my face and everything, and I'm like, "Do you know what? I can't even bother with you." And then that, see, as soon as you get off that run and you go out and you see the other drivers, it makes a huge difference that you all have banter with each other, and that changes your prospect and your mood. Because for me, right, you could be in a badass cunty mood, right, because that situation's happened. They've shouted at you, they've pointed in your face, you're calling you fat cunts. You're nothing but a prick. Um, you're the worst driver on the absolute planet. Um, Everything like that, and you're in a cunty mood. Always professional. Um, can you refuse bus tickets to these people that give you abuse? Yes, we can refuse travel to anybody. Nobody's got a God-given right to travel. Do you do any other buses on the 900? And food is too nice to be skinny. I prefer being fat as well. Exactly. See, if they think it's food, that's the main conception. Oh, you're fat because you eat too much. Ask my Waynes, ask anything, anybody. I don't eat a lot. It's the juice that does it to me. I can't leave the juice line. And it's the sugar and the fats and all that inside the juice that I just keep. What do you think of them self-driving buses? I'll get to that in a minute. Right. Oh, and I need to hurry up because I'm due to work. Anyway, so there'll be a part two. Hey, maybe we'll see how good this one does. Um, so what was I saying? This is why I don't think it. Right. So You could be all this under the sun, and you get to, especially for where I'm all new, you'll get back to the bus station, you'll offload, you'll thank them all, and I always do that with everybody, no matter what the situation is. I thank everybody when they go off, because it could be that they're having a bad day, and they're just venting to you, which is quite a lot of the time. And 9 times out of 10, or 8 times out of 10, they'll come down and go, listen, driver, I'm actually sorry, I didn't mean that. I've had a bad day, blah, blah, blah. Listen, I don't hold any grudges with anybody. Have a good day. You have a belter. Cheerio. Even though you're still being a cunt, because bear in mind, you're just abuse. You're a fat cunt. There's only so many times you can call it a fat cunt, and you don't start thinking to yourself, am I really a fat cunt? And you start really, really starting getting down. So when you go to the bus and you hand the bus there, you'll have a banter with the driver, which will start bringing you up. Then you'll go into the bus station, and as you've seen from my videos before, with Natalie and the other bus drivers, I say Natalie because recently it's been mainly Natalie, Daniel, and the other bus drivers as well. We'll all have a laugh, we'll have banter, which brings the mood back up, which gets you ready to go out again. And for me, that's the main thing. The other drivers get you through your down days or your down moments that you feel, I can't bother with this anymore. Especially one, Margaret, I love you. So it is, it's good because even that you can turn around and go, I just came off and I've just had a Barney with X, Y, and Z about having the wrong ticket, or it was meant to be two buses in front and they try to get on this one. You wouldn't believe the amount of people that would actually have booked for the bus in front and you try and get your bus and you're like, no, can I do that? It's not happening. It's not happening. And then the amount of abuse you get is unreal. Right, and I'm pushing through. What do you think of the self-driving buses? Self-driving buses are pointless, personally, right? Because everybody goes, oh, it's driverless. It's never going to be driverless. Never. There's always going to be a driver there. He'll physically not touch the steering wheel, or he'll do, I think, for what I heard in the news, I don't know a lot about it because it's not my company that does it. But what I've heard in the news is that they're doing 95% of the driverless, and then the driver takes over. Now, which is stupid, is because right now, right, a driver can take tickets, issue tickets, deal with anybody that comes on, right? Anybody that comes on, you're dealing with that customer face to face, blah blah, and then you're driving the bus. On the ticketless ones that I've seen, driverless ones, you've got two members of staff on that now, which doesn't even really make sense because now they've got two members of staff need to be on that bus rather than one. Pointless. So you've got one to drive the bus and one to deal with all the customers and day fares. So I'm not really I think they're a long way off before they go driverless. A long, long way off. Because for what I've seen, it's two members of staff, right? So they're spending all this money on this technology to save money, which they'll know really because they still need to pay a driver and then they still need to pay another driver or a conductor. So they're bringing conductors back for these. So where are they saving money? Because they still need a driver because like technology, all technology fail at some point or it glitches or something. So they always need a driver there. Will it make your job a bit easier? Probably. But it's no something that I would get behind. I don't think, no. At this moment in time, no, I wouldn't. I think there needs to be a lot more put into it. And I think this is just a trial run, I think they're saying. I think it's just out of the fourth to Edinburgh or something, is it? If I'm right. I don't know. It's stupid for to have a driver just sitting there absolutely doing nothing, or 5% of the work, when you could be taking tickets and that as well. But they don't want that. They want the driver to concentrate purely on this machine driving this thing, and somebody else dealing with the punters, which is, I don't know. I think that just kind of makes it, I don't know. Anyway, so as I bring it to a close, because I'm rambling on a bit, for my next podcast, I am going to be speaking to Ginge, who is a driver, and I think he's been driving the buses way longer than me. I think the last time I spoke to him, I could be wrong, he was driving buses for about 30 plus years, if not 20 plus. So I'm going to arrange to get him, and then we're going to go and do another wee podcast with me and him, and I'm going to fire questions at him as well, and then just reminisce about how different the buses is for when he started, how he started his journey, for him, how he's experienced different people, to now, and anything like that. I'm going to do a video and put it up for anybody that wants any questions and that answered to stick on it, and then I'll fire it to him, or I'll answer them as well in my next one. I'm hoping to get it done soon, but it's just trying to get where he's off and I'm off for us to get meet up and then do it, which is the thing. So everybody that's seen this and done it, I'm going to try and stick wee bits and snippets up on TikTok. It's going on my YouTube channel, which is, let me just guess. Yes, anyone can DM me. I have DMs opened. Failing that, I am on Snapchat, and it's FatBusDriver87 on Snapchat. You can always message me there as well. YouTube is, because I need to get ready for work before I get moaned at. What is my... Right, so if you look up at FatBus... fuck. My YouTube is FatBusDriver8770. So that's FatBusDriver8770, and you'll get me there. Failing that, if you get into YouTube and type up FatBusDriver, I'll be there. I try not saying driver, I just say please, they must get fed up. Thank you. It is... Now, somebody had said before I finish off and go about the new electric buses. The electric buses are the bomb. I drove them before I left first, and they are. The only complaint I had about them is the fact that they don't have heating. They tend to turn the heating off or very low because of the fact that if you put the heating on, it absolutely drains the battery. So I don't like them for that reason, especially during the winter. You're absolutely freezing. That's the only thing I have about the electric buses. I don't know if... I know there's an electric coach. I think Ember have got them. I've never driven them, and I haven't really spoke to the drivers to see how they like them. But other than that, right. So I'm going to stick this on YouTube. So my YouTube channel is FatBusDriver 8700. So 8700 FatBusDriver. Any questions? I'm going to stick this on TikTok as well. Stick me snippets in that. Just have questions in there. Failing that, if you just send me a Snapchat on FatBusDriver at 87 on Snapchat, that's FatBusDriver87 on Snapchat, and I'll get messages put out for you in a wee video. Failing that, it's all good. I better go because I really need to go and get ready before I get chopped up. Thank you very much for watching. I hope it's been a pleasure, and I promise you next time I'll look a bit better. No, I won't. You know how it is. I hope you have a belter. I hope you have an absolutely phenomenal one. And if I don't see you through the week, I'll see you through the one day. Have a belter.